For the best in news, information, and entertainment, stay tuned to TV3 Ingerlick. For the best in news, information, and entertainment, stay tuned to TV3 Ingerlick, Turkey.
In tonight's news, Pan Am may be headed for another strike, and Canadians are guarding against another terrorist attack. Good evening, I'm Air Force Sergeant Ken Constant. We'll have these and other stories, along with sports and weather, next on News Center 3. Negotiations continue in the latest labor problem for Pan American World Airways. This time, 6,000 flight attendants are threatening to strike unless a contract is reached. A series of deadlines passed earlier today as both sides talk with the federal mediator in attendance. Last Wednesday, ground personnel ended their 29-day walkout against Pan Am. Since Major Arthur Nicholson was shot by a Soviet soldier in East Germany last Sunday, the United States government has been grappling with the dilemma of how to react publicly and privately. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
John McWethy, ABC News, the State Department.
In other world news, Toronto's 33-mile-long subway system is back in operation as police stand guard at all subway and bus stations. The extra security for the city's 800 miles of bus and subway lines follows threats from a terrorist group. There were threats to set off explosives today unless Canada released 3 suspects who killed a private security guard in a brief takeover of the Turkish embassy in Ottawa on March 12th. An exit poll of Salvadoran voters indicates yesterday's ballot provided President Duarte's party with a majority of the National Assembly seats, won from right-wing opponents. That overturns the right-wing's confident prediction that it would win a majority. Voting for 60 assembly seats and 262 mayors and town councils was relatively calm, with 1 killing reported. The first of 4 foreign leaders to visit the White House this week is Sudanese President Numeri. He'll be asking President Reagan to relax the temporary hold on $181 million in aid. Sudan is nearly bankrupt and is reeling from drought. But one administration official says restoring economic stability to Sudan takes more than spending or spreading money around. The FBI says it made a valuable find in the form of documents and other printed material after yesterday's arrest of a neo-Nazi in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 46-year-old David Lane was sought in the murder case of a Denver talk show host last year. Lane will make a preliminary court appearance today. Federal agents also found weapons, ammunition, and a large amount of money. Gary Dotson was tried, convicted, and sent to prison for rape 6 years ago. He insisted that he was innocent. Well, now apparently he will be released from prison for the crime that he did not commit. ABC's Chris Bury reports.
Gary Dotson has spent almost 6 years behind bars for the rape of a woman who now... Chris Bury, ABC News, Chicago.
Wall Street drifted back at the outset today as investors reassess the market. The Dow Industrials are below 1,265, an active trade of 12 million shares. Declines lead advances by some 60 issues. Well, this is not an April Fool's joke. It may be spring somewhere, but don't try to convince Midwesterners. Many are digging out this first day of April from massive snows in the closing day of March. Palm Sunday services were canceled at many churches, and residents of Marquette, Michigan watched yesterday as a record 22.6 inches of snow fell on them, leaving 2 snowplows stuck in drifts. At least 3 traffic deaths are reported in Iowa, 1 in Nebraska. Looking at our weather forecast, today we had cloudy skies with a high temperature of 69 degrees. Tonight, look for cloudy skies with a chance of thunderstorms and a low of 54. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies and a high of 72 degrees. Our weather is a service of Detachment 19, the 31st Weather Squadron. In sports, the Los Angeles Lakers capped the best month in the history of the franchise last night, winning their 13th out of 14 games during March. They whipped the Phoenix Suns 123-98. Handing the Suns their 5th straight loss. It was the Suns' 9th loss in the last 10 outings. In a short NBA schedule earlier yesterday, the Washington Bullets shot down the Indiana Pacers 111-105. Detroit upset the birdless Boston team 113-105. And last night, San Antonio got by the Los Angeles Clippers 126-115. New York Knick Bernard King, the NBA's leading scorer, will undergo reconstructive surgery today in a New York City hospital. King was injured more than 1 week ago in a game against Kansas City. Tests confirm that he's suffering from a torn ligament and torn cartilage in his right knee. Doctors expect the all-star forward to make a full recovery by the start of next season. Portland Trailblazers coach Jack Ramsey says the Tulane gambling scandal brings back painful memories of 3 players of his St. Joseph's team in the 1961 NCAA Final Four who were involved in point shaving. So far, 5 people have been arrested in the Tulane scandal. They're accused of agreeing to help gamblers beat the betting odds by shaving points from games. The championship of college basketball will be decided tonight in Lexington, Kentucky. Georgetown is back in the title game, trying to become the first repeat winner since UCLA last accomplished the feat a dozen years ago. Villanova, making its first appearance in the championship game since 1971, will be trying to overpower the favorite Hoyas to claim its first national championship. The game will be aired over Radio CFN tomorrow on a tape delay at 1 p.m. Radio CFN can be found at 1590 AM, 100.6 FM cable. The New York Rangers erupted to score 7 straight goals last night in a 7-5 romp over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mike Rogers scored his 200th career goal. Another NHL action last night. Buffalo downed Quebec 3-1. Montreal outskated Pittsburgh 4-2, and Vancouver defeated Minnesota 3-2. In 2 afternoon contests yesterday, Edmonton ripped Chicago 7-3, and Calgary and Winnipeg skated to a 4-4 overtime tie. Anthony Carter roared for a team record 3 touchdowns yesterday as the Oakland Invaders stomped the Los Angeles Express 30-6. Starting Express quarterback Steve Young did not play because of a hyperextended knee injury that he suffered last week. In other stadiums, Denver outlasted Orlando 21-17, and Baltimore outplayed the Houston Gamblers 27-14. A tour of the Major League Baseball spring training camps in Florida would give high marks to the Los Angeles Dodgers facility at Vero Beach. Dodgertown serves baseball cuisine that even manager Tommy Lasorda can relish. And as ABC's Harold Green reports, it's food to win.
You tell me if I'm as heavy as this guy.
Get it.
I haven't dropped any.
The colorful, well-loved team of Hulk Hogan and Mr. T routed the obnoxious and notoriously unscrupulous combo of Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff in a wrestling match yesterday in New York's Madison Square Garden. Former heavyweight champ Muhammad Ali was the referee. An overflow crowd of 25,000 was on its feet throughout. Wendy Richter, who is managed by the flamboyant rock star Cyndi Lauper, regained her World Wrestling Federation women's title from Leilani Kai. Now, if I told you that this past week Prince was seen breakdancing, the thought of the glittering rock star spinning and popping probably wouldn't surprise you. But it wasn't Prince out there dancing, it was the Prince. Prince Charles let down his royal hair when he visited a center for unemployed youngsters in Great Britain. The workshop was set up by the Prince's Trust to help 300 jobless improve their chance of finding work. But Charles used the facilities to improve his breaking technique. Much to the delight of the students, he twisted, turned, and gyrated in a show of princely abandon generally not associated with the royal family. Repeating our hour's top story, negotiations continue in the latest labor problem for Pan American World Airways. This time, 6,000 flight attendants are threatening to strike unless a contract is reached. A series of deadlines passed earlier today as both sides talk with a federal mediator in attendance. Last Wednesday, ground personnel ended their 29-day walkout against Pan American. And since Major Arthur Nicholson was shot by a Soviet soldier in East Germany last Sunday, the United States government has been grappling with the dilemma of how to react publicly and privately. And that's our report. I'm Air Force Sergeant Ken Constant. For the entire News Center 3 team, good night.